Well, good morning. It's Monday, wonderful day, and we are welcoming you to Monday Mornings with Master Wall with Grant and Brian. I am Brian.
I am Grant.
We are here at the As always, you know, some questions you might have. Today, our special guest is Ron Chelli with Winlock. A little bit of background on Ron. For 40 years, a veteran of the EIFS industry since 1980. He sold EIFS for 12 years in the Philadelphia market, beginning his career with Winlock in 1992. He was the lone wolf salesperson. He held the position then of National Sales Manager and VP of Sales and Marketing prior to becoming named president of Winlock in 1999. He's been a part of EMA. He was on the board of EMA. Ron, we welcome you to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate
First,
it.
I'm just glad that you come in. I mean, I know that one of the things that we were talking about briefly in having you here on the show was specifically the Ulp Plates. And I want to talk about that and then dive from there into other directions and things. But specifically, as I've said before to a lot of people, we do the show for education, for sales guys that are out there, from the distributor level, manufacturer level, all the way down, even to the sales guy within the contractors level, dealing with the owners, and why things that might seem to cost more are valuable because of the technology, the science that goes behind a lot of this stuff that a lot of times in the industry we don't talk about. And so just wanted to talk briefly about what you see the value specifically of the Wind Devil, how that might differ from others. And not to necessarily bash other products that are always out there, but that there is a significant difference as to why we talked about the keying in, things like that. But briefly, maybe talk about that. And I know you had some samples that you might show.
Yep. First and foremost, can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, sufficiently. Yeah. The thing I've been saying for years when I used to be out in the field is, in test environment, and in most cases, adhesives are always going to be better. There's nothing better than adhesives. Where mechanical fasteners come into play is in situations where substrates might be questionable, where plywood, you don't want to use a non-cementitious adhesive, where possibly, we're getting into the winter months in the north, where you want to be able to do work when you have a couple warm days. You can put your foam on and rasp and base coat the same day, move your scaffolding. And there's a lot of reasons why. Painted masonry, things like that, where costly wall preparation and things like that. So, I never want to get into a case where we fit in the market where we fit. We're not trying to reestablish anything above and beyond the normal cause of how you install EIFS with adhesive. What we've done, and this is a second version, we had the Wind Devil 1 that came out in the mid-'80s, the Wind Devil 2 in the '90s. As you can see here, there's a thermal chamber right from here to here that prevents thermal bridging when you're installed. The fastener is never on the surface. It also allows movement and flex when the building gets positive and negative wind loading. There's multiple keys on the top, and you can see it, and they're reverse angled because the base coat gets behind it and locks in. That's the wind lock in the name. Nothing sticks to plastic, so you have to have that second mechanical attachment to the mechanical fastener in order for it to work. There's closure arms when this is installed that close up so the base coat doesn't jam up that and cause a thermal bridge. So, there's a lot of engineering that goes into this. It's 2-inch diameter. Its predecessor was 1 3/4 inches. And it's made of the highest grade polypropylene plastic. We use virgin polyprop. We don't go to the regrind and things like that. So all that goes into this, and there's a number of competitors on the marketplace. I don't even know them anymore, honestly. We always say the Chinese competitor.
Yeah.
But the way I always look at it, I don't know the exact number. I'm just guesstimating, but we've done over 1 billion square feet. It has to be, because we do 50 to 75 million a year in the heyday. And we've been in business since the mid 80s. So
Mm-hmm.
in all the years, I'd say if we're not at $1 billion, we're close. We've never had a failure, and we're the most tested mechanical fastening system on the market. When you're using mechanical fastening or evaluating them to be used, third-party witness testing, end-use configuration, pull-over tests and all that crap are just bullshit. You have to have a chamber where you're literally pulling the wall apart and seeing where it fails.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done that. I mean, we had 40 or so different billets prefabricated in our warehouse years ago. And every single one of them, we had US testing that viewed every single process of that. So that's the only way to really objectively decide which fastener is appropriate. And I don't think there's any on the market that have the testing we do. We also have a ULP plate, which you can see here, which is flat, was originally invented for hard coat EIFS over blue board. And it has no thermal chamber. It's cambered a little like this. So when it hits the rigid board, which is blue board, it'll flatten out. This is bastardized on many systems in EIFS. We know that. It's 1 3/4 inch. It's not to be used on EPS board. It's for hard coat or stucco. Its sister is the ULP 402, which has this pre-spotting feature, which was originally designed for the polyiso boards back in the 90s. This is not a thermal chamber. It's a pre-spotting nipple, for lack of a better word.
Sure.
Don't confuse it with the thermal chamber of the window. You can see, I'm trying to do the best I can, but
No, I think
that
it's
is not a
great.
thermal chamber, okay?
Yeah.
So they're not independent, and the ULPs are obviously cheaper. The fourth version of this is our lap plate. We have this flat. We also have them with pre-spotting. This is exclusively for stucco mesh or the fiberglass stucco netting. Was that sufficient?
Absolutely. No, I love it. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to something we talked about last week, where the trust, right? How much trust you have in that fastener. I don't know if you have one of those that are there. I think that was really flexible, right? That you can see.
This is one of our competitors, and the problem you have is, on the surface, everything looks the same, right?
That's right. Yeah.
It's the same type looking plastic. You don't know what composes it. And the ribs on the back of our ULP plate are very stiff. You can't, it's very, very difficult to bend this, right? So somebody sent me this because they thought it was our washer a couple of years ago. And this is what happened. But on the surface, you pull it out of the box, you install it. There's no way to know the difference, right?
That's right.
It's very similar to ours. Looks like the same thing. It's for the same application. And as I was saying to you, Brian, and I've used this often throughout my career at Winlock, if a 4,000 square foot house was utilizing fasteners, and I gave the contractor the washers and screws, it would probably save them about $600.
Right.
So, like, if you have it, even if you buy the best as ours at $600, somebody saves 20%. So now it's what, $500, right? You're going to take a chance on the whole wall falling off over $100 on a beautiful brand new house. It's silly.
Yeah.
If the washer or the system is proven to be acceptable, use it. If it's less expensive, but make sure before you make that decision that you have all your ducks in a row and that there's third-party witness testing proving that what the company says is true about the negative wind loading, that it is. Because negative wind loading is the important thing. Positive goes this way. Negative wants to suck the wall right off, right off the substrate.
Yeah.
Ron, we always like to talk about history when we do these things. So maybe kind of take us back to why Winlock was started, or how it got started, kind of the growth through the years, and then kind of the expansion of the product line and the offerings that you have now, not just with the fasteners, but the offerings of Winlock at this point.
Okay. Yeah, Winlock started because it was there was a mechanical fastening system that needed to be invented because of some certain, we had Owens Corning had a fiberglass. It was sort of the precursor to the polyiso board. It was tongue and groove, had mesh on it, and they took it from their duct plants and made these 4x8s and 4x10 sheets that were to be installed directly to studs. It's oh my God, this is unbelievable, right? So we had to have a means of attachment because the only way to do it then was staples, and you can imagine fiberglass staples. So it was like the whole wall was just pillowed. And I mean, it was great for base coat, but it was horrible for aesthetics and the applicators, and it just was horrible. So it was invented for that purpose, the Wind Devil 1. Conversely, there was a need for tools because there was probably 6 tools back then: hawk trowel, margin trowel, Jiffler mixer with a blade. The creative people took a Clorox bottle, cut the cap on, cut it off, and that was a scoop. And that was about it. You had a cork float, you had some plastic floats, somebody just floated, a lot of people just floated with a steel trowel. So there was this opening for this sundry company, and it was started in the mid-'80s. It began as a Dick Seibert, who was the founder of Manning Company, and Frank Marsilli, who was, you guys know, was the founder of Drive It. It was a 50-50 partnership that was, I think, formulated, as the old story goes. It was probably a drunken evening and a handshake, would be my guess. And there's a few people on this call that get it. I know Davey would. So, so Drive It in its first couple years of existence, Winlock was half owned by Drive It. And then 2 years later into this relationship with Frank, Dick traded the Federlite and Metalite panel systems to Drive It, and Drive It gave Dick in return Winlock. So
interesting.
I think Dick had the better hand in that long term. That's basically where we got. Then we were known as the hardware store for EIFS. We just did EIFS. That's all we did. And there was a lot of convincing to the market that we weren't part of Drive It anymore. And it took a lot of convincing, especially for Stowe, for some reason. But we worked and we got fully accepted by the market. And as time went on, ICFs became more prominent. We got involved in supplying accessories to ICFs. The offshoot of that was we got into spray foam with Dow and became one of their largest distributors nationwide with Dow spray foams, froth packs, and then we got involved with an access panel, Stealth, which is a GFRG access panel that fits right into drywall, tapes right in and spackles. And then we also got involved in 2010, and we added a whole line of drywall tools and accessories to our line. So that's where we are now, and that's where we came from.
So I think that's awesome because you see the auxiliary items that you guys support within the industry as a whole. But what would you say then? This is one of those questions there. How has the market changed over the years regarding these auxiliary items, and specifically regards to the market and the sales to the contractor? I mean, you've definitely seen a change from, I know when I first got introduced to Winlock, it was an outside sales guy that was coming into the shop, seeing you and doing that. And a lot of that has changed because of the web-based sales and the value that holds. So have you seen that change over the years?
We used to spend thousands and thousands of dollars each year with a catalog that we mailed out to our end user base. We weren't selling to them, but we marketed to them. It's like Coke markets to you, but you go to the supermarket to buy it, right? So we marketed catalogs, at tremendous expense. And then, in recent years, I think our last catalog was like 5 years ago. What would happen is by the time we got done the catalog, got it printed, got it distributed, we'd have 57 new products a day that came in and 22 that left. And, it was never up to date. So we just decided we would go virtual with our catalog. So we've sort of stayed away from catalogs at all. There's still some people. I don't think we have one in our office except for those of us, you know, to refer to them. As far as to the contractor, you know, the industry's changed, and I think, and I'm not just saying this, as Dave will attest, I've talked to him many times about this. Other than Masterwall, there's no real EIFS manufacturer that is an EIFS manufacturer, if you know what I mean. And most distributors are just fill-ins with EIFS because they're drywallers, and you know, they have the trucks and they have everything else. They don't have the sales people out on the road to do that, to promote EIFS. They just fill orders. And I think it's unique what you guys are doing. I think you guys are EIFS guys, and you pour your heart and soul and money into the EIFS industry, and it speaks volumes for where you've come. So that's my politically incorrect, objective opinion of what's here. But I miss that, because there's only a few distributors that still do that. And as far as us, we're not averse to traveling and seeing customers. Obviously, under these conditions, we are.
Sure.
We go as needed. But most of the time, you know, we're doing Zoom calls, bombs, you know, all kinds of team calls and things like that. So it really isn't overly necessary. And we're not a big enough deal that people want to see us every week, you know, like they might want to see your reps, you know. And, you know, we're doing things, as we've grown. We have this East Alliance that you guys have done a really nice job. And Dave and a couple of you guys have really helped us on that, get in the door with some of your distributors. You know, that's our investment back to you, where we take this for $3,000 roughly, this package, this full display we give you, and fill it up with our stuff. We co-brand you and your manufacturer on the signage. So it's, you know, we're just an empty vessel as far as self-promotion. But that's what we're doing. I think part of Dave's question was, you know, what we're doing as far as teaming up with our EIFS partners. And that's what we're trying to do. It's a modest investment for walk-in traffic. And that's what we're hoping. You know, we're hoping that more and more people are going into their local distributors and seeing things like that and making it more available, because, you know, your salespeople don't have time to sell the crap we sell. They're trying to sell, you know, 40,000 square foot office buildings and hotels.
Yeah.
Well, on that topic with partnering with manufacturers and distributors, obviously you and Amy and Carter are very involved with EMA. So from your perspective, you know, what benefits do you see to EMA, just being a part of it, being part of that community, you know, as an encouragement to distributors and contractors, maybe even, you know, how do you guys partner with EMA, and maybe some benefits that you see there?
Well, EMA, we've been involved in EMA, I think, as Brian said at the beginning, since its inception. We've been heavily involved, and I was on the board for years. And I've been on committees. Carter's still on committees. Amy's joined a committee. Until the new regime came in with Dave and those guys, it was always important, but it was more, I always looked at it as a marketing opportunity for Winlock, just to keep our name out there more than anything else. I mean, they did a good job, but they didn't do a great job. But these guys have come in and actually been a real proponent for the industry. They fight battles, misinformation. They promote the systems. They're heavily involved in testing. If a city or state or region or town says that EIFS sucks, they go in and fight the battle for us.
That's right.
You know, and it's been a real godsend. I think the new EMA is remarkably good, and I think if you're not involved in it, you shouldn't be in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge deal. And I think it shows how it's not just the EIFS manufacturers that are involved. It's people like yourself with Winlock that are getting involved to support us as the manufacturer, to support the contractor, to support the owner of whatever the project is, to say, hey, we are a group that is dedicated to the EIFS industry to make sure it's being done well with really good products, from the materials that we make as a manufacturer at Masterwall, all the way down to if a fastener is what's needed for that job, we know that it's a quality product from a quality company that's going to produce that fastener to go alongside with our systems. Speaking of products, and I wanted to make sure and highlight this, I know that you have with you one of the newer products to your line, which is the Sill Dry. Talk a little bit about Sill Dry briefly there, and
I
show
don't
us
know that
what you
this is
got.
going to fit in the screenshot.
And I'll share a screen here.
Yeah, I did send you that thing because I was worried that there wouldn't be enough room in the screenshot.
That's all right. This is what it is. I mean, this is the basics of it, but go ahead and talk a little bit about it.
Well, it was basically invented by, a good friend of Davies, and it's just, it installs in 4 screws on the flanges. It has a 45-degree angle, a dam that prevents water from getting in. It's one piece. You can go from 18 inches to 21 feet in length. The accordion technology allows, no rough cut is going to ever be right on. So you can adjust it an inch and a half, make adjustments to that if it's a nominal window cut. And it's guaranteed for 15 years. Ironically, it's made by the same, he partnered, the inventor partnered with the same plastic injection molder that we've used since 1999 for all our washers. And they're the preeminent manufacturer of that product, of that in the United States.
Yeah, I think it's a great product for sure. I mean, I think it's definitely one of those things, especially on the specification, schematic design, development side, to bring to the architect to show. And again, that's why I think, I carry one in my car all the time to show people, because we're dealing with the outside walls, and the architects ask me as a manufacturer, well, how have you guys helped mitigate any water intrusion or anything else? Again, it's an easy, okay, well, this is how we're taking care of those treatment of those holes in their building, right? I mean, that's what the window is or anything else. I think it's great for sure. Have you guys gotten a lot of good feedback on it already?
Yeah, we have. I mean, they've done their own stuff, and we just started the relationship. Unfortunately, those of you at EMA, we featured it at EMA, and then COVID hit. So it was like we got no momentum at all from our EMA thing, and so we're just really in the infancy stages. We've had a couple projects. It's one of those things that has to catch on, though. I mean, it's not just something that is going to happen. And this is another thing. Like, if you're going to take a shortcut, why would you do it there? Which is the problem with almost every building. It's what caused our problems with EIFS early on, with water getting in and causing damage. It causes damage in every type of building construction. So this product can not only be used for EIFS, it can be used for any, virtually any wall finish.
Yeah. I'm always amazed to see how many contractors or owners or contractor construction managers are fully sealing windows in completely 100% still. And surprised that some of the window manufacturers still allow that to even be done, versus kind of forcing people to use some type of sill dry material or some kind of dam material that's there. But last question I'll have, and then I'll maybe toss it to Grant after you answer this too, is, just generally, what do you see? What does Winlock's partnership really look like with the distributor from your perspective?
Well, we've sort of evolved. I mean, we're evolving. I think, we were always, a distributor was a distributor, even if we drop ship 99.9% of what they did, right? And when distributors were distributors, where they actually stocked our stuff, then it was really cool, right? We're starting to get more into the fact, look, if you're going to stock stuff, of ours, we're going to really, really, really support you. If you're just going to have us drop ship for you, we're going to support you, but not as much as we are the people who believe in us on a daily basis. Those that get EIFS alliances and those who place orders that, because quite honestly, a lot of our distributors nickel and dime us, $500 freight minimum, 17 orders a week, and then we're out the freight because we're paying freight on 17 orders that week. So, our whole value proposition is getting more aligned with distributors that are going to invest together with us and truly partner with us, rather than use us as a shipping mechanism. and get 25 to 40 points to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here. We got like 2 minutes left.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just kidding. What
That's all right.
maybe discuss from your perspective. What do you see with everything that's changed this last 6-7 months? Kind of the opportunities you see for the EIFS industry, or maybe biggest challenges. I'll let you choose which way you want to answer the question. But maybe for the next 12 to 18 months, where do you see the EIFS industry going?
The biggest challenge is I think we're going to lose like our hospitality business. I think is really going to be hit. I think office buildings are going to be hit. But I think that EIFS has, I hear nothing but residential. I would start putting some emphasis back on residential. I'm at the Jersey Shore where when I bike ride on the, when I'm down here and I got the bike ride, and I used to see EIFS houses all over the place. I never see EIFS houses being put up anymore. And it's a shame because I was just on, AD had their virtual meeting and they had a guy that was in projection of who's doing what. And the two parts I just said, offices and leisure down. Residential is surprisingly strong, and they expect it to remain strong next year as well, like remarkably strong. And, to support that, you're going to have retail because I don't think we're going to be locked in our houses forever. I hope not. So to support the houses, you're going to have retail, strip centers, things like that. So,
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Hey, well, we appreciate you coming on. Great conversation. It's always a pleasure. And hopefully we actually be able to see each other in person.
The last trip I was on, I saw you. We were in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Which is really ridiculous. I can't believe how much I miss an airplane and an airport. So.
Isn't it crazy? I know Carter and Rick and who else is on it? Herman, Pete. I know everybody misses the in-person get-together. So hopefully next year we can make that happen. But thanks for coming on today, and thanks for being a partner in EMA. We always appreciate that, and we're all hoping that the fourth quarter goes well for everybody here, and a strong 2021, hopefully.
Well, thank you guys, and thanks for all the respect you give the Winlock. It's deeply appreciated.
Hey, we appreciate Winlock for sure. So definitely everybody head over to winlock.com and grab your stuff today and send it to all your distributors for anybody who's listening. But yeah, I appreciate it for sure. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right.